Thank you for joining us and sharing your story.
You for having me.
Of course, and you also edit all of our videos, so you are an ultimate mama bird. So why don't you start by telling us about your journey?
So, my husband Cody and I began trying to get pregnant soon after we met, like probably 6 years ago. It took us a whole year to get pregnant. Our first pregnancy ended in a 5-week miscarriage. Um, we tried again almost immediately. It only took a couple of months that time. That one ended in a 10-week miscarriage that we found out at the 12-week appointment. Um, and I ended up doing that miscarriage naturally at home, which was actually like very, very, my most painful birth was that miscarriage. And then after that, we decided to wait a while to get pregnant. We got married, we took our time, and when we were ready to try again, we got pregnant with our daughter Tila and lost her at 23 weeks pregnant. I had an infection, and the infection went through to the placenta. And at that point, like, antibiotics won't work. I guess antibiotics don't go through the placenta. So I had to deliver her early, and she passed away half an hour after she was born. And then after that, we took a long break and just, I didn't even know if I wanted to try again. So I also was very sick during that pregnancy. I was sick during all my pregnancies, but it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I was sick with something called Hyperemesis Gravidarum, and it's characterized as extreme morning sickness. And I had it really bad with Tila. I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and it was so bad. I thought about terminating my pregnancy, even though we wanted her so, so bad. I was like, I didn't think I could live like this. So when we were deciding to get pregnant again, I didn't want to. Like, it took a lot of soul searching, a lot of convincing. I was ready to just stop trying. Let's adopt. I'm done. But we actually went to like this medium that we went to after Tila that passed away. And he said that this soul was trying to be our baby, was trying to come through. This soul was meant to be our baby. And he's like, you have to try one more time. It's like, give it one more try. So I was like, fine. So it took us like another year to actually get pregnant. From there, I found out I had PCOS, and I wasn't getting pregnant. And then the fertility doctor said, okay, it's time for IVF. And we were about to start IVF. And in April, we were about to start IVF. And in March, I got pregnant naturally. He said we had a 4% chance of getting pregnant. So,
Well, isn't that a miracle?
yeah. And so, got pregnant with our son, who we have now. And I was also extremely sick in this pregnancy with hyperemesis as well.
So, Hyperemesis gravidarum, did I say it right?
Mhm.
Okay. Yay, finally.
Yay.
It's a serious issue. And, like you said, you had considered terminating because it was just so bad. So, how did you get through it? You weren't able to eat? Were you like, what could you actually eat, if anything?
So, when I was pregnant with Tila, I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink water. I couldn't eat anything. But the only thing I could keep down, thank God, was Ensure shakes. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're like
Hmm.
nutritional shakes. And so, thank God, I could. That basically was keeping me alive.
Hmm.
In my pregnancy with Towns, I couldn't keep down anything as well. I couldn't drink water, but I could drink this one flavor of Gatorade. It's like
Hmm.
one very specific flavor. I couldn't drink any of the other ones, but I could keep that down, and that was keeping me alive. So each time I like had something that was keeping me alive, but I did have to be hospitalized with both pregnancies with an IV, and I was on medication, like heavy medication for both of them, medication that they give to like cancer patients for nausea. I was on that.
Mm. Now, when you were on that medication, were you able to eat?
No,
Wow. So you
yeah,
survived off a Gatorade.
yeah. And
Wow.
the medication basically makes it so that you don't throw up as much, but you still feel nauseous. So you
Mm.
feel like you want to throw up, but you're not throwing up.
Oh my God. How did you get through that?
It's like
That's
torture.
insane.
I'll never do it again. Never ever do it again. And I know other
Right.
moms that have one baby and they want children, but they're like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
Right. I think I might know the answer to this, but what mental health support were you provided during this time?
None. My first doctor with Tila didn't even really know about hyperemesis, which is shocking. And then a lot of doctors think that it's a psychiatric problem, which back in the day, like in the 60s and 70s and stuff, when people had this, they would send them to the psychiatric ward, which is like, makes me want to cry. It literally
Oh my
terrifies me
God.
that they would do that. Yeah. And you're like so sick and they think it's in your head.
Meanwhile, you can't physically eat. Like, what? How is that? That's
Yeah.
insane. And I think, and I might be wrong, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think this happens to like 10 to 15% of all pregnancies. It's a pretty high,
Something it's high, yeah.
yeah, it's higher than like you would think,
Yeah, and
you
with
know?
some women, it lasts the whole pregnancy. With some women, it just lasts a few months. Some women have to have at-home health care, which thank God I didn't have to have, which means that a nurse comes to your house like once every couple of days, and you have a PIC line, which goes in through, I think up here, like near your
Mhm.
heart, and then feeds you like that. So a lot of women actually have to have that, which thank God I didn't have to have. So
Wow. So what type of mental health support did you seek out? I mean, so you had this with Tila, and then unfortunately, obviously, you had the grief associated with that, and that had a huge impact, I'm sure, on, that and this condition going forward. Did you, with your son, did you feel like, I know that you really were hesitant, but did you feel like, okay, well, at least I know what this is like. Maybe I could find some support before? Did you seek out any kind of help?
So I switched doctors and I found a doctor that has experience with this and he took it very, very seriously, which was a huge game changer, like for my mental health.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't have like psychiatric care or anything like that, which obviously I have extreme PTSD from this
Yeah.
now. So I am dealing with it now with a therapist. But nobody like offered it to me at the time or anything like that, which they're even struggling to think that it's a real medical condition. So I like they're not going to offer me any kind of help,
That's
you know.
that's terrible. It's terrible. Is there anything else you want to share about it?
Yeah, it's so bad. It's like it's so hard to explain how bad it is, but it's like relentless nausea. So when normal women get nauseous in pregnancy, it's like you throw up and then you start to feel a little better and maybe you can eat a cracker or something like that. But with hyperemesis, it's like you throw up, but there's no ever relief. So
Oh my God.
like throw 40 times a day I would throw up and you lose so much weight and I literally fell down from being so weak. Like I just fell on, like never happened to me before. I just fell on the floor. It's like compared to like regular nausea in pregnancy, let's say it feels like a paper cut, right?
Mm.
So when you throw up from when you have hyperemesis, it's like compared to having your arm chopped off. Like that's the
Oh,
difference. Like it's so bad.
can't
It's so,
imagine.
so horrible. It messes with your mind. You can go like psychotic almost from just always feeling like you have to throw up 24/7.
And I'm sure that you already had those anxieties because you dealt with it with Tila, and then going in with Towns, I'm sure you probably held your breath, like 'cause how terrifying that must have been, and how brave you are to have done it despite all that, right? So,
The second you start feeling nauseous, like week 5, it's like you get terrified. So scary.
well, thank you for sharing about this condition with us because unless we talk about it, we're not going to learn more about it. We're not going to understand it. And what's interesting is it affects so many people, but everybody differently. If you could go back and write a letter to 13 or teenage Roseanne, who hasn't thought about starting a family, who hasn't even probably graduated high school, what would you tell her?
That's a hard one. um, I would tell her that, it's not everybody has their struggles. It's not might not be as easy as you think it's gonna be, but don't give up. Keep trying. Even though it's not like the fairy tale that you might see in the on TV or whatever, it's still a fairy tale in and of itself. It's still your own story, your own fairy tale, and this is what life is like.
Right.
To learn, you're here to learn.
So, what was your mantra when things got really, really tough? Did you have one? It's okay if you didn't. But what did you tell yourself?
I probably didn't have a specific mantra, but I definitely, like I said before, like I just didn't give up. I always had some sort of hope, some sort of plan. Oh, if this doesn't work, this is what we're going to try. If this doesn't work, this is what we're going to try. And I always love the idea of adoption. Like I still have adoption in my heart. So I knew that if this didn't work, we were still going to have a family some way, somehow.
Mhm.
So I didn't like lose hope in that.
You just kept your heart open to whatever was going to come.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's exactly what we talk about. Let's talk really quickly. You are also a bereavement doula. We did the same training a couple years ago online, and now we are developing our own training. How did your experience inspire you to become a bereavement doula?
Immediately after I lost Tila, like the next day, I was like, I need to do this. I had a doula at my birth with Tila, but she wasn't a bereavement doula. So
Mhm.
there was stuff that she was helpful with and also stuff that she didn't know how to handle. So I knew immediately that I wanted to look into this and do something about it and help other moms who are in the same situation to to and know what to do, because if it hasn't happened to you, you don't know what to do, and if you haven't had the right training for it, you don't know what to do. It's so
Right.
hard to know the right things to say and the right things to do and the right way to be there for the mom. So I think like it's extremely important to have this kind
Mhm.
of service. You don't have to have lost a baby to learn. You can learn how to be there for a mom, and we need this.
Absolutely.
We need it. So
Yeah. So, one of the reasons why we're doing this diary videos is because of all the different people we're interviewing. They may not have had a pregnancy loss or experience with that, but their personal journey has things that have happened has impacted their motherhood. So one of the biggest questions I get with Three Little Birds families is they get to a point where it's you feel stuck and you're just like, what comes next? As someone who has been through trauma and all these life altering experiences, how do you answer that?
well, yeah, feeling stuck is really, really hard. Um, I, for me personally, I was like, after I lost Tila, I was like, bad things happen to everybody.
Mhm.
Nobody is exempt from bad things happening. And I was like, as long as I'm healthy and as long as I'm living and as long as I'm breathing, I I'm not stuck. Like that's basically what I had to tell myself. Like I have the power to keep going and I'm going to keep going. And like that's the mom strength. That's
Mhm.
like the even if you don't have a baby with you, the intention to be a mom, you have that like mom strength. So when you actually have a baby and you think, oh, I can't go on, I can't go another night like this, I'm not sleeping, blah, blah, that's your mom strength. You just go, you just keep
Mhm.
going. And even
Just
if you
go.
don't have your baby here with you yet, you still have that intention of being a mom. And that's what you do. You just keep going. That's the mom strength. You have
Mhm.
it there.
Sure. Who was in your nest of support when you were going through all of this?
I actually only really had my husband. I didn't have anybody close to me that was that he opened up to me, because I'm sure I have people close to me that have gone through something similar, but I don't have anybody that opened up to me about it. And I had my husband, and I joined a support group immediately after that was so, so helpful to me. So I had those moms that I met, but people in my close circle, I really didn't have that much support. And it's a shame
It
because
is a shame.
you need it. You really need
For sure. Well,
it.
Roseanne, I can't thank you enough for sharing this with us and our other mamas and just giving a voice to people who, like you, went through something and just didn't have anywhere to turn. So thank you.
Thank you for giving people somewhere to turn.